What's up, everybody? I'm QB for Culturalist Theory, and today we're giving you our breakdown on Grammy Award-winning singer-songwriter Faith Evans' catalog. As usual, we won't be including any soundtracks, collaborations, or holiday projects. As always, tap in with us by commenting below, hitting that like button, and subscribe so you don't miss a list. Now that that's out of the way, let's get to it. Number 6, Something About Faith. After rolling with the majors for her entire career until this point, Something About Faith was her first independent release on her own prolific music label in October 2010. This is her most feature-heavy album, with Raekwon, Snoop Dogg, Redman, Keisha Cole, and Kelly Price all lending their talent to this project. However, she went for self on the Grammy-nominated lead single, Gone Already. For this album's tribute to her late first husband, the Notorious B.I.G., Faith sampled and used the title from his song, Everyday Struggle, and brought in a verse from Raekwon. Real Things and Baby Lay are some other songs that warrant a playback or two. Overall, though, that's something that makes Faith or any other album stand out is absent here. Party featuring Redman Wants to Be Loved Like This 2010, but misses the mark, and we love some Keisha Cole, but her vocals hold zero weight to Faith on Can't Stay Away. The results are much better when she teams up with Kelly Price again, this time on Troubled World, which also features Jessica Reedy. And if you don't know or remember the first time Faith and Kelly teamed up, well, looks like you got some homework to do. While the album did hit number 1 on the independent albums charts, as well as number 4 in the hip hop and R&B charts, unfortunately, this project is rather forgettable. Number 5, The First Lady. 2005 saw Faith Evans back on the scene after a few years away, this time without the backing of her longtime label Bad Boy. But that wouldn't stop her from using one of the many nicknames she racked up over the years and utilizing it as the title of her 4th studio album. What may be more surprising is that The First Lady was her first album to top the hip hop and R&B charts, taking 2nd place on the Billboard 200 and racking up the most first week sales in her career. She moved 158,000 copies out the door and eventually reached gold status. 3 singles came from the album, which were all great selections. True Love has Faith in her oh-so-familiar mid-tempo love song lane, sounding as good as always. And shout out to whoever it is that put the thing on her words, not ours, that invigorated her vivacious showcase on Mesmerize. We need more of this kind of Faith in our musical lives. Lead single Again is a winner due to the emotion she belts out on the hook alone, and should be on any best of Faith list. Other good looks on the album include Until You Came, Stop and Go, and Lucky Day. So then, how does such a seemingly well-received album end up next to last place on our rankings? Chalk it up to Faith's by and large exceptional batches of music. Even though they were married and on the same label simultaneously, Faith and B.I.G. only found themselves on the same track once during his lifetime, and that's the One More Chance remix. Then, more than 2 decades later, we finally get a collaboration project between the two. 2017's The King and I, which are remixes of B.I.G.'s verses with new vocals from Faith and a host of other guests to freshen things up. So, was it worth the wait or not? Let us know your thoughts on the album in the comments below. Number 4, Incomparable. Faith Evans had clocked nearly 20 years in the game by the time her 2014 album Incomparable arrived in stores. Resurfacing from a 4-year lull, she also found a hibernating Missy Elliott, who indeed made the lead single I Deserve It as hot as she claimed it to be. Good Time featuring Problem also lived up to its name, with Faith gaslighting you as you get your two-step on. But Faith is at her best when she's in her grown woman bag on selections like Make Love featuring Kiki Wyatt, Ever Go Away, and the straight to the point Really Wanna Do. And just as they were on her sophomore set, Keep the Faith, some of the interludes are better than the complete songs, so don't miss, take your time, and ride the beat. Then she even takes us to church with her exceptional vocals on the Grammy-nominated He Is. It really is a shame that Incomparable was so heavily slept on, which all of the sales and chart positions reflect. But let us be the first one to inform you that you should definitely go run this one back. Number 3, Faithfully. Faith Evans' 3rd solo project lands firmly in the number 3 position on our list. Serving as her final run with the Bad Boy label, Faithfully is rather sample heavy with a bit more hip hop flavor than we've been accustomed to from the First Lady. The album kicks off with Alone in This World, using the infamous Who Shot Your track as a backdrop immediately after that. Depending on if you're checking out the video for lead single You Gets No Love, you'll catch the golden era hip hop vibes there, with Faith running back a few lines from a Biggie classic, or you'll get the P. Diddy and Loon rhymes on the album version instead. 2 more rap joints get converted into R&B form, including Don't Cry, which take from Outkast's 1996 album cut mainstream, and the ever so popular Can't Believe featuring Carl Thomas, recycling the firm's 97-track phone tap. If you're wondering why Back to Love has such a catchy throwback feel to it, that's because it borrows from In Deep's 1982 classic Last Night a DJ Saved My Life. There's plenty of other gems to find throughout, although we could have certainly done without the umpteenth flip of Juicy Fruit in the title track. And while the music for Brand New Man is solid, you can't help but to feel like it's a retelling of BFF Kelly Price's story, Friend of Mine. Overall though, Faithfully is an enjoyable album that capped off a very successful stint with Diddy and them. Faith won her one and only Grammy by featuring on the Puff Daddy tribute to Christopher Wallace, I'll Be Missing You. But on top of blessing other artists like A Tribe Called Quest, Eric Benet, and Robin Thicke with her voice, she also wrote an autobiography that shared its title with her second album, Keep the Faith. Published in 2008, it won an African American Literary Award the following year for Best Biography or Memoir. Any of you out there happen to read that or learn any more lesser known facts? If you did, hit us up with the details in the comments after we wrap things up here. Number 2, Keep the Faith. So Faith's second album taking second place in the rankings. We think you can see where this is going. Like a lot of R&B albums did at the time, Keep the Faith starts off with the hits. Initial feel-good single, Love Like This, led the charge, going gold and garnering her a Grammy nod for Best Female R&B Vocal Performance in the process. Those good feelings kept on rolling in with the follow-up single All Night Long, co-starring Puff Daddy. Then slowing down a pace, she came with Never Gonna Let You Go, a Babyface penned tune that held the top spot on the hip-hop and R&B charts for 1 week. And while the typical 90s album interlude were usually throwaway filler, Faith's are basically unfinished songs that you wish you had time to complete. Stay and Tears Away are prime examples. Here's a clip of the latter for you to peep right quick. Fortunately, she doesn't leave us hanging, as the title track, Caramel Kisses featuring label mates 112 and Lately I are sure to satisfy. Sophomore Slumps and Jinxes were the furthest thing from Faith's mind, as Keep the Faith took 6th place on the Billboard 200 charts and adding a second straight platinum record to her name. Number 1, Faith. For some of you, this is a trip down memory lane, and for others, this may serve as edutainment. But there was a time when R&B artists would self-title their debut albums, which would end up being classics in their own right. Brandy, Toni Braxton, Mariah Carey. Well, you gotta add Faith Evans to that list as well. Besides being the first female to drop a project on Sean Combs' Bad Boy label, the pressure was even higher with Faith serving as their lone album release in 1995. As luck would have it, the first 2 singles from the album turned into instant classics, helping propel it to number 2 on the hip hop and R&B charts and hit that all-important million-seller milestone. You Used to Love Me was so hot that it was less than 6 months before it was already being jacked by other R&B singer, R. Kelly. And she put her body and soul into Soon As I Get Home, which had people feeling some kind of way in the 9-5, and still has that effect to this day. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and call it like it is. The majority of this album is straight up baby making material, but she managed to pull it off in her own special way. You or somebody you know may owe your very existence to songs like Don't Be Afraid, Give It To Me, and Come Over. With syrupy vocals and sweet melodies like that, Faith was some of the 90s R&B at its best. Alright, that's another one in the books for y'all. Once again, I'm QB for Culturalist Theory. Holler at us in the comments below if you think we got it right, and tell us what your favorite Faith Evans song is. While you're at it, subscribe so you don't miss the list. I'll see you next time.